Welcome to the Wicked Creative Collective Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Gill. This is the second episode of the reboot, if you will. We had Carol Campos on our last episode, which is great. And I'm very honored and happy to have fellow TikTok creator, Jennifer Cline, with us. Jennifer is a self-taught woodworker and flag maker who views her craft as her life's calling. Widowed at the age of 37 and a mother of two young children, she picked up her husband's tools to make necessary repairs around the 200-year-old farmhouse. Eventually, she gained a handy reputation amongst friends and coworkers, prompting one to ask for a thin blue line flag. That flag led to hundreds of more opportunities. Jennifer is currently social media presence and content creator with over 200,000 followers, which is a great feat. So, Jennifer Cline, I want to welcome you to the Wicked Creative Collective.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Thank you.
So just kind of showing everybody your awesome TikTok page here. So so thanks for coming on again. I kind of, when I got on TikTok about, geez, God, was it 2 or 3 years ago now? I saw what you're doing. It was great. American flags, something I love too. And then, the way you kind of, do the woodworking and such. And then you and I spoke before about hopping on the podcast, but we were kind of a state of flux about where we were going. And it was great to finally get you on. So one of the staple questions we ask Jennifer every episode is, what did you learn this week? It could be professionally, life, everyday kind of things. And do you have something now, or do you want me to go first?
Oh, I do have something because I thought about it ahead of time. So it goes along with being a social media influencer and creating content. And I found one more way for creators to make money. And maybe everybody else knew about this, and I'm the last one to find out, but I have realized there are companies that will buy, or if you allow them to use your content from YouTube, they will share on like platforms like Facebook, where they have a large following. Oh, really? And then they ads, and then you get a percentage of that. So I'm like, you know what? I've already created these videos for YouTube. Why not? They don't own my content. I'm allowing them to share it. Sure. It's good for me. And if it gets millions of views, that's potentially more followers that will trickle down to me, and I get a paycheck.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. And for all you people that can hear my dog barking, he decides to go bananas while I'm recording, and he's quiet the whole time before. So no, absolutely. That's the one thing when people start, creating content, is that when they're on other platforms, those platforms are kind of like holding it. So you should always try to get control of your own content for sure. But no, I might have to look into that too if I, get some good content out there.
Yeah, and I've also gotten approached by companies that just want to pay me to make content just for them, where I don't my social media. And that was different for me because when they first approached me, I thought, okay, it was like everybody else that wants me to show the product, do a video and put it all over. And they're like, no, you can't put it on your things. You're creating it solely for us. No one will ever see it on my channels. They're just going to send me a paycheck, and I create it just for them. And I was like, you know what?
Sure.
Be a problem with that.
Yeah, that's fine. So, you're paying me. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, you just
to say, how many different ways can I take that one item and make money from it? So I just found one.
It's like something like Gary Vaynerchuk. You probably know who he is, of course, the big social media content guru. It's like you basically get one piece of content, you slice it, dice it a million different ways, and monetize it, right? So that's smart to do. Absolutely smart to do. That's what I've been doing too. Like for this podcast, for instance, we're going to have the audio up on Anchor, but we'll also have it up on YouTube, and then we'll cut and slice and dice and cross promote and so forth. So yeah, absolutely. What I learned this week is that you should never hesitate from asking people to be more accommodating when you're going through something. So I just got my first vaccine shot about almost 2 weeks ago now. And I had some pretty cruddy effects from it. I'm not here to scare people. I'm here to just help educate. I had extreme fatigue. I had like the brain fog kind of stuff, where walking just a little bit down the street, I was completely gassed and couldn't concentrate. And when you have 3 interviews and have like 2 interview projects to do during that week, it's tough. And I just couldn't get through stuff because you want to be at your best, right? During an interview or doing a project for, they do a lot of mock assignments right now to see if you know your stuff. And I asked everybody, like all 5 different companies, and they were all accommodating, which was great. So I think people get it. now. I mean, more than ever during this last, God, what is it, 14 months already of this stuff. I mean, the days just blend together. Who knows anymore?
I know.
But hopefully we're close to the end of this, that we're all wishing for. So what I want to get into, Jennifer, is your whole story, because I found it very compelling and inspiring and motivating, all the above, of how, you worked in the court system, right? And now you went from there and became like woodworker, TikTok creator extraordinaire. So if you want to just tell us a bit about that journey, that'd be great.
Sure. It actually starts before that. And it was with unfortunately a tragedy, and that was the death of my husband. He was definitely very handy. He worked as a maintenance man at Kent State, which is a local college. Mm-hmm. I never picked up the tools, never did anything. And it was following his death that I was, basically forced to. It was either that or I was going to on other people to come rescue me. And that's not in my DNA. So I picked up his tools, taught myself. Small projects led to bigger projects. And then that, years later, as you mentioned, I was working at a courthouse. I was a grand jury coordinator. I'm a paralegal. So I had the privilege really to work with all the jurors, all the officers that were coming in to testify. And one day, one of my best friends who knew that at this point I was handy asked for a thin blue line flag. And that flag led to, I don't even know how many. I'm guessing I've made 400 or 500. I don't even know now.
That's awesome.
I've lost. It's been almost 5 years, but that it's just led to a whole different life that I didn't think I'd be living. I never thought I'd leave that job. But and just in a nutshell, I won't get into drama, but I had a female boss that just, for whatever reason, was jealous and forced me out. But I looking back, I know it was time. That happened because it was time for me to leave. I needed to go on and do bigger.
It was a sign, right? It was a sign. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, it kind of like me too. I had some, my last 2 corporate stints, or 9 to 5s, if you will, which just didn't go well at all. And one person forced me out, as kind of what happened to you as well. I was kind of a leftover from another regime, if you will, managerial regime, and she didn't like her at all and didn't want me there either. And lied and embellished and name it, right? Just rumors and wrote me up even though I didn't deserve it. And again, it's one of those things where I left that company and then I freelanced for a year and I kind of learned how to run a business, and I learned so much from it. Honestly, it was better to leave that situation. I mean, my wife has a good job, luckily, but to lose that, to get out of that job, the stress was, you still stress because you don't have a job, but you're less stressed because you were in that position. Because I spoke to Carol on this about our last episode, especially like I think at any job where we live in a hypersensitive world right now, which of course a lot of it is merited. Like, if anything has to do with, like, we'll get into this about the social bullying stuff in a little bit, but about gender or race or sexual orientation, if you say something about somebody else, you should be fired for that, which you should be, right? You should be fired and let go for that. But somebody could basically terrorize you from a work standpoint and lie and just, basically tarnish your personal brand, who you are as a person, everything, or your work ethic and all that. And they can get away with that if they're pushing the ball down the field for the company or the court or whatever, right? So that's just kind of a thing that always blows my mind. Like, there are things that you should get fired for, and there's things that people get away with that they should get fired for. No one should be treated or terrorized or kind of like going home. Like, I went home stressed every day, taking out my family because I was that stressed. I was getting physically ill, like all this stuff. And all you're trying to do is support your family, right? That's all you're trying to do.
Do a good job. And I did a good job. What didn't help me, though, is that my boss was best friends with the big boss.
Oh, and I had that too.
Allowed to happen. They're best friends. Everyone I went to, and there was one female superior that I went to that was like, Jen, they did the same thing to me. And her advice was learn to cope with it.
No.
Well, I eventually did file a complaint because it got to cyber stalking weirdness.
Oh, no.
To where she was getting into my personal life and reaching out to people she saw in pictures on Facebook. It got to be like Netflix miniseries.
Oh, goodness.
Worthy. And I filed a complaint with the county and I won.
Good for you.
But nothing was done.
Right.
Nothing done. And I was basically called a liar, and none of my suddenly that knew my character and knew what I was about and knew the good things I was doing behind the scenes.
Sure.
They know. And
Right.
of course, they all scattered like a bunch of ants or caught light comes on. So that situation, although very hurtful, and I still have nightmares.
Sure.
And it's been almost 3 years, but looking back, I know just because I'm a faithful person that was done for a reason.
Right, right.
And I will thank them one day. Actually, it's almost to the point where I will thank them, even though it was such a hard switch going from a job that I got dressed up every day.
Sure. Yep.
That was my persona.
Sure.
The hilt went into work. It was around people all day, very social. And I was coming home and making my flags every evening, but it was still got me out of the house. I was earning good money. I had benefits.
Sure.
I would have never left on my own. And then to be in my basement by myself, I could pick up the same clothes every day and wear them and not wash them, and nobody would even notice. Because
I know, right.
A lot of time down here by myself, crying at my bench.
Right.
But it gave me a lot of time to think and and I truly appreciate the people that were there for me.
Sure.
And I know that one day I will look at my boss and I will say thank you, because I am so much better off because of you.
Absolutely. I mean, I went through the same thing. My last job, I got a job during the pandemic where they never, kind of what we just talked about, they never worked from home. So a lot of them did not become acclimated to, working from home, right? It takes a different breed of person. If you've never done it before, like that's a big change. If you've been working in the office for 25 years, like kind of like what you just did, and you go to another, that's a hard change, right? But you have to kind of adapt to it. And my last company, I was like a freelancer. So when I had to work from home, didn't bother me because that's what I did, but the other people wasn't as easy and the communications broke down. I didn't have anyone to kind of be the champion for me at the company, whereas never met anybody, right? So I was doing Zoom calls to meet people and so forth. And my boss wasn't blocking and tackling for me so I could run with the ball and be successful. And I went to his boss and I got the same kind of line you got. She's like, I like you and I like him, but I'm friends with him. And I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. That's it, which, it's one of those things. As soon as you hear that, you're all done. And by December 30th, I log into my Zoom call with them and then the HR is sitting there and I'm like, I'm done. So, and saddest part about that, Jennifer, and you probably have gone through this too. It's like, when the relationships you build at companies or with clients or whatever, and all of a sudden you're gone and they never said what happened to you. All these people like, why did you get rid of him or her? Why? He was so good to me. Like, you're so good to the customers, your coworkers, that they never saw that. They never saw how much of a team player you were, or you, like, I kind of call myself a glue guy, right? Brought everybody together. I was having people at the last job, like emailing me like, what happened? Why did they let you go? And I had all these things in motion and I built a microsite and all this stuff and nothing's been touched in 4 months since I left. And every stop I've had on my journey, I've been laid off 6 times. It's, I've learned from each of those stops. But again, it's, you want to see like your baby grow up, right? You want to see the fruits of your labor sometimes, but it doesn't work out always. Right. So, but just talking again about your journey. So, we always ask a question about, collaboration or, influencer marketing, if you will. I mean, what have you been doing? I know they call you Mrs. Dewalt. I know you've like demoed some of their stuff. How's that working out?
Great. And I think that that has been my main goal for about 3 years is to get a sponsorship with them. And I feel like it's going to happen one day. I know it in my soul. It's going to happen one day.
Oh, it has to.
While I'm waiting for that, though, I have taken on other collaborations. And, in the beginning, I was happy to get free products.
Sure.
And in the beginning that until I made a name for myself, that I was going to have to give away a lot of freebies, and do a lot of work and give people a lot of exposure. And not that I was getting the short end of the stick, but I just kind of knew that they probably were, the larger half. But that, and, LinkedIn is a fantastic
you do very
vehicle that a lot of influencers even know about. LinkedIn has been like the missing link,
if you will, right?
for my success, because you get an audience. That's where all the decision makers are at, basically.
Yep, absolutely.
So it has led to things. It's led to bigger collaborations than I could ever expect.
So it's led to more on LinkedIn than actually TikTok, would you say, from a collaboration standpoint?
Yes, but a lot of the people over on LinkedIn are mystified by TikTok, and they're hearing all about it, but they don't know how to work it. So when they see, oh, she's already there,
so
then
good.
To show their product, because they don't want to put themselves out there, but they're like, well, she's already there and has a decent following. Let's give her our products and see what happens.
Absolutely. And like, so, collaboration, influencer marketing, like if you build a personal brand, you have a following because, you really being a transparent person, you be having fun with it, you bring in value. It would only make sense that companies would seek you out. That's what I did my last job. I was the influencer marketing manager, and our clients were musicians and so forth and so on. And those stories are just so compelling about the music and how they got into it and the songs and such. Myself personally, I'm a big hockey fan. So the Boston Bruins, I built my own brand, if you will. They call me Papa Bruin, like you're Miss Dewalt.
Yeah.
I got Papa Bruin. So
right.
I have a Facebook community of about 50,000 people. This is all organic. 8,000 on Twitter. I just started an Instagram channel, YouTube channel. And I had like one of those, you probably seen those mountain bikes with the fat tires. I was actually approached by a company a couple of years ago, and they sent me a bike, and I did the unboxing and I did all that stuff. And I sold like 4 or 5 bikes for them. So that was cool. And I just saw it. You probably do this too. You probably see a company like you said, DeWalt. Hopefully you guys will work together soon. Like, why aren't we working together yet? So I was talking to this company that makes those customized Adirondack chairs. But these, you could put the Boston Bruins logo on it, your name and all this. I'm like, well, this would be a perfect marriage. So I actually approached them. I approached them and asked them about it. And I'm like, I will promote you up and down. I'll do unboxings. I'll put on all my different channels and all this stuff, my Facebook Live, all this stuff. And, just in exchange for a chair. Now the chairs go $300, right? And initially they said, yeah, well, let's work that out. We'll send you out a chair and we'll go from there. So when I just started discussing it with them, he's like, I'll give you a code and you could sell them. I'm like, I'm not one of those people that just, what's that?
Yes, that's what I was going to say, Joe. Why?
Oh no, but I'm kind of. I think you're the same way with tools and stuff. I'm one of those people that needs to try it and use it first. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like the chair, I don't want to. I can't sell something I don't, tangibly don't touch it or what it is and stuff.
Fair enough.
Like that. So I mean, because the chair I could sat on it broke. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to. I have a very good relationship with the community to the point where like if I'm ever going to use affiliate marketing or stuff like that, I actually ask them straight up, do you mind? Because I've been offered like 3 or 4 times to sell the site, the Facebook page, and everybody with it. I couldn't do it because they're like family. It's been 11 years,
Yeah, and I feel like your followers would be really mad if you are the glue.
I'm the brand. Yeah, exactly. So
they're gonna be duped.
When I said that to them, they're like, well, if after you sell 4 chairs, and I'm like, you're missing the point, guys. They work with like major hockey players and like the sports network here, and I'm thinking, I know for a fact you spend more than $300 with them. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking that like you're not getting the connection. So it never came to fruition. It never worked out because they just wanted me to sell before they gave me a chair, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works. I need to really, like I said, try it. I mean, I'm one of those people try to be transparent as I can. But again, talking about social and building up a personal brand and so forth. So how did you discover TikTok? How did you get on it? How did you kind of break down those misconceptions about it and things like that? I would like to hear about that part of it.
Yeah. So I was on all the major platforms at this point anyway, but it was Gary V.
Yep.
Who I follow and watch and love.
Me too. Yep.
It was back when every video and every post of his was, you got to be on TikTok. You got to check. Gonna be the next biggest thing. And I'm like, you know what? I think I've heard Gary V talk about TikTok about 3. It took a couple times. And I was like, you know what? He has been historically right about everything.
Yeah, he has. And people still don't believe him, but yeah.
I know. And I'm like, well, if he is insistent that I should try TikTok, then maybe I ought to get on TikTok. And this was, was it 2 years ago? 2.5? I think in July, it'll be 3 years I've been on TikTok.
Okay, so like 18 or 19?
Yeah, I'm getting for like the last year, like
Oh yeah, we don't even know what it is. It could be like 23. We wouldn't know.
I want to say it's almost going to be 3
Right.
years going on TikTok. But anyway, I was like, what is the harm if I open an account?
Sure.
And I don't like it, then I just quit
Don't do it
posting.
anymore. Yeah.
And then it became my favorite platform.
Yeah, because the creativity options are just so unbelievable, right? It's very user-friendly too, I feel.
I do too. And it was like that. This is where all of my strengths, I feel, come together the best. Yep. And I was already at that point making my woodworking videos and into like a music video.
Right.
And I really ripped apart and criticized. Like Reddit kicked me off day one.
Really?
Yeah, I got banned from 2 like the first day on Reddit, I got banned from 2 woodworking pages. I thought, oh, here I am. They're gonna love me. And my fellow woodworkers. No, they were like,
did you get
you're
banned?
doing things different. And they kicked me off.
Did you get banned because they used the music, or was it just they didn't like your style?
They thought I was sponsored.
Oh, I got you. Okay. It was too, I guess.
They thought I was sponsored. Yeah, and I'm like, I am not sponsored. That's just my nickname. And they didn't, and they like criticized my work, and I wasn't a real woodworker, and yada yada. So I was like, you people are miserable anyway. And you probably so, but anyway, so that TikTok to me was where, because I'm really nitpicky about the actions of the video matching up with the song and the song.
Me too. I'm saying like
costumes and like a lot of, and not to criticize like but a lot of the typical woodworking videos are a time lapse of the project, and then they just stick whatever song is with it. Where I have like
a theme.
The song and that beat, and that's where that clip ends, and then the next, and then there's something big here, and then that's where something big shows. So yeah, TikTok was where I felt like I could be my most genuine self.
Sure.
Like I'm really good at this, so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, really same exact. You and I went down the same exact path. Gary V again. I went on, I think 18. I was doing videos, lip sync with my son and stuff like that. Same kind of idea, right? And I did one video. We're going to Florida actually a week before the world shut down. Literally. Oh, wow. Yeah, which we all knew the virus is already there. So but my son had we're big Star Wars nerds, me and my son by osmosis, and he has no choice. He had like a Death Star carry-on bag. Okay. Do you remember that? So he took that down the aisle of the plane, and I put the Star Wars thing behind it, and it blew up. It got 1 million views, almost 850,000 views and so forth. And even when I reposted, it still does very well too. Yeah. And there's another video that you probably saw too that you would probably applaud my wife, who actually painted all the in our kitchen, and she actually had the paint tent, and she had the gear and all this stuff. And I walked in, all I said was simply from outside, seeing her do her thing with the paint gun, when my wife puts her mind to something or her heart to something, she'll accomplish anything. And that exploded too. And, other women are like, you go girl, stuff like that. Yep. And that was incredible too. My wife she's not a social media person at all. My son's becoming just like me, a big ham in front of the camera. My wife's not into that stuff at all. She did a great job. Now, kind of telling you, my story a little bit. Like my dad is a construction worker. He's an operating engineer. He's worked on cranes his whole life since he's like 20 years old. And there's my dog knocking stuff over. And he's super handy, right? He could drop engines in cars. He puts in bathrooms. He does like everything. Me, not even close. Complete opposite. I can't even hang up like curtains. I'm not even kidding you. I'm terrible. I'm so bad. Like I put holes, like, you put the anchors in the drywall. Complete.
I saw that video.
Oh yeah. You probably like, my God, man. Yeah. So I'm completely opposite. I'm terrible at that. My wife has more patience than me too. Like painting and all that. Now it's not me. But if you want a website built or a Facebook page or that's me. That's the guy. But it was just funny is because my dad was, and I loved it to death, but he was very hard on me. So like when I remember digging a fence post, the fence post diggers. Yeah. And he would measure the hole out and everything. I mean, honest to God, like how deep it should go, how much the circumference of the hole is. And I just couldn't get it. He was just laying to me. I'm like, oh, you know what? this isn't for me. This is not will never be my bag, will never be my thing. I'm one of those people, and you probably cringe, but I'd hire someone before that could do it well,
No, because everyone has their own talents and interests. And I wouldn't assume just because you're a man that you automatically know how to do things. Just like when people see me, they assume I don't know how to do
things. Exactly. And those are stereotypes that need to break down either side, right?
Exactly. Because a lot of guys approach me, they'll message or leave comments and say that they feel a stigma and almost ashamed that the world looks at them and assumes that they know how to build something.
One of my good friends is a contractor that I actually met him through like one of those, job boards, to find a contract or whatever. And, he'd give me a hard time. I go, but Brian, why did you let your website domain expire? Well, it's just, again, everybody has their own skill set in their comfort zone. I'm more digital marketing. Like I could do a computer. I could hook up computers, monitors. My wife can't do any of that stuff.
I can't either.
So, right. So I'm more of a technology person, and I'm not a handy person. So like, again, wow. It's, some of the things that I try to do, you must be, my wife's always the ones that puts the tables together. Cause I just screw it.
It's okay.
So I got 2 Dewalt drills, to be very proud of me. I got them. I'm like, they were on sale at Ace. So I'm like, I gotta get some real drills. So I had, the Black & Decker, rechargeable one. Those aren't that powerful. They don't really do a good job. But all I want to do, Jennifer, is just to drill a hole through a bracket up into my mailbox and put some screws on and just fasten it better. And even that was a debacle. Like, for whatever reason, the bit wouldn't fit in the chuck all the way. And when I put it in, it would get stuck. And I'm like, who's watching me now? Like, who's watching this? It's just a complete.
I'd have to be there with you. I don't know.
One day, maybe you'll just see. I kind of got it finally, but it wasn't easy. Nothing's easy for me when it comes to that stuff. But anyway.
Because in the beginning, my first project that I attempted, the miter saw was locked shut.
Yeah.
Because one was the last one to use it.
I don't know what that is. What is it? Skill saw kind of thing, or?
So like a chop saw.
Oh, chops. Okay. Yep.
So he had it probably because we had kids,
Sure,
so
protect him, yeah.
He had it shot, and then there's like a little screw thing on the side, the safety thing that you can, or when you're traveling.
Yeah,
you
right.
Lock. So I get all of his tools out. I'm going to build this thing, this garden shed thing. I can't unlock the freaking saw.
Oh, I've been there.
Mad. I'm crying. I'm mad at him because he left me. Like it just was a meltdown kind of day. And then I thought, think about it. Look at it. Be logical. Separate yourself from your emotions.
Breathe. Yeah.
Breathe. So I was like, okay, well, I wonder what this thing over here does. And I loosened it, and bloop, the thing popped open like a buoy. But like, that's how I started either. And it's just by doing and by making mistakes, and then by having a victory, and then moving on to another victory, and then having a mistake, and then another victory. Like that's how you learn.
Oh, yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. Like I had a belt fall off. We could do this all day. I have a belt fall off my snowblower. And I'm like, my buddy, the contractor, I would always call him over to help me because I don't know how to do things. I just suck at it. I'd rather call him and give me a hand and have a beer and hang out. And he can, because he's good like this. He's a good guy. And I just basically, I'm like, all right, I have to do this myself. I have to. So the snowblower was a second hand. I got it from somebody. It was older. It's probably 30 years old. The company doesn't exist anymore. Got bought by another company. Had to get the belt. But what I did, just like you said, just breathe. I had my music on. My music is very big inspiration, music in general for me. And I listen to music. And I just got the YouTube channel out, looked at what they doing on YouTube, got the manual, did a couple of things. I was terrified. Don't get me wrong. Did a couple of things. I fired it up and it worked. I was like, holy shit. Miracles do happen.
How did you feel?
I felt great. I can't even tell you about the validation.
Yep.
I told my neighbor and the contractor, my buddy's contractor, I'm like, I did it on my own. They're like, good job. Like, you get a gold star like you're in grade school. Like, good job. All right. But no, but yeah, that's the fun stuff about storytelling and social. But, there's also the ugliness.
Oh, yes.
And I'll tell you about what I just went through. I'll tell you about 2 things I just went through, and you can talk about what you've gone through and how you kind of rose above it just to get where you are. So 2 things, like one of the first times I ever set out on the digital world, if you will, I had my own sports blog, and I I'm a season ticket holder with the New England Patriots for 26 years now. It's crazy. But this was like 4 or 5 years into it. I would say, no, this is 2009ish. I think I was writing for this blog. And I was talking about how, as a consumer of the football team, which we are, if we're paying money to go see the product, we are people that are investing in them. And I said, they didn't really do anything for us. There was no, perks or tchotchkes or whatever. We spent all this money to support the team. And I got this is on a blog post. So I got attacked by everybody, fake names, using this, you entitled person and this, and you don't appreciate anything. And to the point it got so bad, Jennifer, that some way, somehow on one of these sports message boards websites, which are some of the most vile scum of the earth on this thing, found pictures of my wife, who's a Filipino descent, on my Facebook page, whatever it was, because you have people that follow you as fans, and you're like, all right, but they could be trolls. They're just trolls. And they basically took the pictures and posted them on this website. My wife and I say, Shamil, what a bride, and all this stuff. And I was like, I told the guy who ran the site, I want credentials to get in the site and defend myself. I was so mad. I couldn't tell you. When you go after my family, game over.
Yeah, the gloves come off then.
Oh yeah, but I did get taught a lesson from a guy who was in, sports blogging for a long time. He told me, he's like, you have to rise above and you have to ignore the noise, right? You got to do that. And just recently, as I mentioned, I went through those side effects with the Pfizer vaccine. I was just asking other people on TikTok, are you going through the same thing? I'm just curious. That's it. I didn't say take it. I didn't say don't take it. I said nothing. Okay. I just asked. And this video blew up, okay, for the wrong reasons. Okay. So to the point where on TikTok, to the point where I think in a day it got over 100,000 views. And I always wanted my follower count, and I'm not about followers, always past 10,000, because I know you hit that next level on TikTok. I'm like, I just can't get there. I'm always stuck at 8,500. But I was getting followers, but I'm like, all I saw was the hate of people saying you're a guinea pig and you're a sheep and you're going to die and you're not going to be able to see your mother again. And I'm like, what is going on here? You're a lab rat and you're an idiot. You're a fool. I'm like, but then it was 50% of the people would be supporting me and say, yeah, I went through the same thing, all this. But Jen, I had to take it down because it became a breeding ground for hate, not just against me, but anybody that commented in my favor, people would attack them and then would just go, you see how you get the notifications, right? About the comments, about other people's comments, not just what you said. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I took it down. I could have got more views and more followers. And I'm like, it's not worth it.
Right. And I've done that too, where I've posted something and I've either deleted the whole thing, because I'm like, again, I don't want my name and my account associated with people fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
So even on LinkedIn, every now and then some Joe Schmo will come out of the woodwork and make some comment, and that gets everybody angry. And I'm like, why did you even have to go there?
To get a rise out of it.
I don't know. And I've either told people, be respectful, or I just flat out delete it, because I don't want that either. Yeah, hater. I guess you have to, each situation is different. You kind of have to assess how much you care about putting that video out, or what you want to get from. Sometimes it might be worth it. I've had projects that, for whatever reason, sparked debate. For instance, I had one where I had a chainsaw, and I had this new chainsaw oil that's earth friendly and biodegradable. Right. And that also sparked a lot of but then when I looked at it, I just have to ignore that.
Yeah.
And realize that those people are fueling the engagement. So it's really helping me out in the long run. But I have had to make a call before. I'm like, and I learned, I had one that was a political parody, which I've parodied everybody. I don't care what side of the fence they're on. And I just thought that'll be the last one I do, because I can't take, people one way or another are going to be mad, and they take it just to the nth degree, and they unfollow, and one person tried to report me to YouTube.
Oh, come on.
And it was ridiculous. It was like, that was just a joke done in fun. And it wasn't that mean, or I wouldn't have done it. But I learned certain subjects just to stay away from.
So well, we're going to jump in that a little bit here. So I am someone, I think you're probably the same way. I'm kind of rational person. I believe I believe they're good and bad in any group or profession or gender or race. They're good and bad in both. So when you do the blue, the police flags, right? Which I support African-American people and police officers. I support both of them, right? The good ones, right? The people that are doing the right thing. So are you getting backlash? Because like even myself, I'm country first. So I have an American flag, but people probably think I voted for a certain person. We don't have to get into that stuff. But it's almost like even with the flags though, with the blue stripe, people looking at it like that, you don't support African-American people. No, I don't feel that's true at all. You support police officers too. Like, have you got any backlash because of that?
Yeah.
Tons of it. Yeah.
Yep, I have. And for the American flag as well. And let me tell you,
which is unbelievable, right?
I'm the next group I'm working on is going to the White House.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know in what capacity.
That is awesome. How did that happen?
Play or if it's just a temporary.
Who cares?
But, and it might be, maybe I voted for our current president. Maybe I didn't. But by golly, that is
the office.
And I root for whoever's in office because if that person fails, we all fail.
It's true. Absolutely.
I'm fine with somebody having their own opinions and their own.
Of course.
But yeah, my flag, just because I'm a flag maker and especially the police. Actually, there's one Instagram post from like a couple of years ago I don't know if it got shared somewhere, but in one day I was getting a bunch of hate messages on it. So I just block.
Yeah, do it. Absolutely.
Delete and block. But yeah, hate comes from sometimes people try to disguise these troll kind of comments as like friendly advice, like they care about you.
Right. Hey, let me come over here. Let me.
Belittling.
It's belittling.
Somebody that I don't even really know reached out to me in DMs and said, I just want to help you create enhance your LinkedIn ambiance. And I need to tell you that your picture you just posted.
Oh God, here we go.
Smile looks forced.
Okay.
I was like,
really?
I was offended. Like, how can you not be offended? I was like, I like that picture of me. And if you know how, like, creating content takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there.
Oh, absolutely. As we just said, you're going to expose yourself to the good, bad, and the ugly. I mean, that's just part of it.
So I started to message because I'm a feisty Italian and having the laugh is a character flaw of mine. And I know it.
Yeah, right.
Respond that, like, how dare you come at me with like unsolicited advice disguised as caring. And I said, I really of me and and it takes real kahunas for someone with not even a profile picture of themselves.
That is.
And then I sent it and then I immediately deleted it and then I blocked him.
Well, I mean, that's where a lot of the hate comes from. All these accounts that have no content made, they have no pictures, people go in there just to troll. I mean, that's what they do. This is what they do. And again, I'm all about intelligent adult debates. We could debate about it all day. But once you get like even my Bruins community, people like insult me and I'm like, there's like disagreeing with me and then insulting me. That's two different things. You could disagree with me all day. Right. And we could talk about it all day. But because I like a certain goaltender, you thinking I want to go, make out with him and do things to him. Let's just put it that way. That's it. You just juvenile and vile. I mean, I don't need that. I mean, so I delete them and I block them and they're gone. I mean, there's one guy on there that him and I disagree, but if you ever saw the Dark Knight with Joker and Batman, like we need each other, like we need each other to coexist because the adversary, but we're respectful to each other. You know what I mean? Like there's no real nasty stuff being said. So I'm okay with that. It just gets to the point where it gets personal with family, as we just spoke about, political views, whatever. Again, the reason why this country is great is that we can have different views and actually agree to disagree and still respect each other. And that unfortunately has left society quite a bit in the last, I'd say 15, 20 years. And it sucks. It honestly sucks bringing up kids, as you have kids too, right, in this world. But so regarding the pandemic, how has it, I know you kind of do all your stuff from home anyway, but how has it affected you personally, emotionally, psychologically, all the above you want to share, and with your kids and are they at school and all that stuff?
I'm going to say, well, being that I was already acclimated to being here by myself at home, if
Sure.
there's a safe race, I already had a head start.
Sure, sure.
But honestly, when the pandemic hit, I was not really affected other than I temporarily paused my flag orders because that was when everyone was terrified to even go leave their house.
Yeah, right, right.
So I didn't buy supplies. I didn't go to Lowe's. Like I stayed home.
Yeah, same thing with me.
So yeah, I didn't go anywhere. I started having my groceries delivered, which I'm going to continue with that.
Oh, I love it. Me too. Instacart all the way. Oh, I love it. Ever, yes.
I'm not impulse buying.
Yeah.
It didn't really affect that. Now my son had off school.
How old are your kids?
My daughter's going to be 25.
Okay.
And my son's going to be 17. So
Okay.
he went off. School was a little iffy and like part-time, like they'd go certain days.
Sure, sure.
And then back to the swing of things. And school's been fine. But really I've had a lot of benefits come to me because of COVID.
Good.
Because being an influencer, companies have had to figure out different ways to reach their audience.
Because they can't do events or anything like that anymore. And
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
There's a box company that's local that I'm pairing with, and actually I'm bringing in corporate accounts.
Nice.
Which I love.
Good for you.
And also they created a website around me that I can, like people that are makers like me that don't want to buy their shipping boxes in like 500 quantity. They can get like bundles of 20. So now there's a website, it's called Brick and Seal. If I can do a plug for them.
Yeah, of course, please.
Yeah, Brick and Seal. Cause I don't think I have one around here, but the way the box is shaped is called a brick and they're really sturdy.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
great.
Companies like that have reached out to me to work with them because of COVID.
Yeah, and TikTok has actually exploded across demographics too since the pandemic started for people like 40 and above, like myself. You know, I mean, more and more people get on there, which I love to see the demographic changing to a degree. I'm nothing against millennials or Gen Zers. I mean, they're great. I learned a lot from them. Plug to Jade out there. But it's great because now if you are a company, for instance, I'm doing pro bono work for a company that makes, masks, like really good nanotech kind of masks for COVID and, hopefully later just algae and stuff like that. But so I decided, I think you saw it too, and thank you for the comment. Now I want to do something. I told him, let's start a TikTok channel. And I want to do something like fun, like what will we do with these masks after it's over? And we, and I did my Prince impression because for whatever reason, I remember that outfit he wore where it goes over his eye. So I put the mask up there. I'm like, do that. And then other things too, like, and this will probably be already done this time this podcast comes out, but my son's starting to play hockey. So I'm going to do like a skit where he's like, Dad, I need new elbow pads. I go, no problem, son. And I'll put I'll put the mask on his, even though they're not even regulation, whatever, but just funny, like just to hit the funny element, maybe get some younger people to see, like you said, don't take yourself so freaking seriously. Right?
Yeah.
Because masks, if you think about it, are for a pretty serious thing, right? The virus and stuff like that. But people are having fun with it in different colors and writing stuff on it. Like I have some of my favorite rock bands, like Alice in Chains says one that from this song, it says "Stay Away," and another one from the Black Rose says, "Looking for a remedy." I love stuff like that, and I think it's very creative. And
it is.
But TikTok gives you that. It's great that because as we mentioned, people were scared of things they don't understand. Mm-hmm. And I have not tried. Like they said this about, I did an article on LinkedIn about it called, TikTok is not just kids doing stupid shit. It's not. Remember that? And that's what they said about Facebook. That's what they said about Instagram. And that's what they're saying about TikTok. Same things. And of course, everybody's about the Chinese stealing data and stuff like this. And
do they not use Facebook? Hello.
Oh God, Zuckerberg, everything.
Facebook's the worst.
So
everyone's worried about TikTok. Worry about who's in your own backyard.
I think they're all. Yeah, I think they're all. Again, don't give up too much, and you should be fine. I mean, that's like for me, the pandemic. Again, I was home. Same thing with me, and like I said, I was starting a new job. I was coming home from Disney World right a week before everything hit the fan, and I came home to like a bursted pipe in the baseboard, and I had water in the house, and my buddy was able to come over and fix it pretty quickly. I won't talk about the nightmare with the insurance company, but that's another thing. But anyway, I mean, what's been great about this is that, my son was home for almost a year from school, right? We did remote learning. And he went back last week because the governor of Massachusetts kind of like everybody has to go back. And I'm like, why are you doing this with 7 weeks left? Like, well, let the kids just stay in their mode and let's start fresh in September. Whatever. But we decided to send them back. My wife and I have each got 1 shot. So we're on our way to get our second next week. So we'll be protected. But again, of course, he won't. I know they don't get as sick, but they could. You never know. So sending him back was kind of scary. But damn, Jennifer, you probably know the kids are resilient. And he seamlessly just back into it. And I'm so happy to hear that.
Yep.
But again, you know, being a job seeker now during this pandemic, it's like all my calls are, you know, Zoom calls. And I did a poll, you probably saw it too. Do you dress from the waist up? Do you just wear sweatpants and Crocs like I did? And it's so funny because I've been on a few calls. I did put the jacket on and I actually put pants on. I always wear pants, but dress pants. I don't go no commando, but they're like, well, you dressed up. Like, I guess no one dresses up anymore. But I'm like, I think a lot of people said business casual is fine. So I might just go that route later on today. But so again, I think the pandemic's brought people together. I spent more time with family, which is good that you'll never have again, really. Let's be honest. You'll never really have that time again. And we got this awesome dog that decided to be very disruptive during this podcast. I know. But again, I think what got me ready for this too, and I think as well for you, you've been through a lot of adversity. So you kind of have that warrior mentality, if you will, that you'll get through this, that we'll find a way. And, you know, being a cancer,
we'll be better for.
Yeah. And, you know, myself being a cancer survivor and being laid off 6 times, and I've already dealt with my pile of shit already, you know, adversity.
What's it gonna do to me? You know?
I know, right? I'm like, the one thing I just said, I go, I beat cancer, a virus isn't going to get me. I mean, that's the way I look at it, right? You know, that's exactly the way I look at it. So, one more question before we end this, and it's been a great podcast here. What are you geeking out on? What are you excited? Like it could be like, for me, I'm a Star Wars music person. It could be anything. What are you geeking out on? Doesn't have to be about woodworking, anything.
Well, right now I'm in the spring cleaning mode and like gadgety kind of person.
Okay.
So I'm also like really geeking out right now on organization.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm very organized too.
Like this, I'm down in my basement. This is where I work during the winter and the cold months. And I go out, I'm just starting to migrate and move my things. So my workbench looks really, really clean now.
Nice bench. Did your husband build that or?
No, I built that.
Oh, you built that one. Okay.
Yeah. I had no clue what I was doing. I drew a picture.
I love it. It's good.
That if you looked at the picture, you wouldn't believe that this is actually what came out. Like it just was a rough sketch because I'm horrible at sketching.
Is it like repurposed like barnwood or something, or is it?
It is. Yeah, it's made all from. The supports are made from because I get pallet wood for free.
Sure.
So they come with the big support 2x4s. So I keep those in good shape. So I was able to use those to make the supports, and it's actually because it's a 12-foot bench. Mm-hmm. There's 3 different sections because I figured it'd be easier for me to make them in 3 sections, and then more for me because I have to be able to move this stuff around by myself. So no, I built that. But in organizing, speaking of collaborations, the inventor of something called a tool wrangler sent these little. They're connected, so you can't really see them.
Are these ones you put in? Is that where you put all your drills underneath when you did that video? Yeah. I love that.
Slide on. So that's what I'm geeking out on now is organizing and using those because he sent a whole S load of them to me.
How much are those a piece? How much are those?
I can get a kit, and I want to say like for 10, it's $50, but I'll give you a link.
Yeah,
I put him in my store because I didn't expect. I didn't know he was on Amazon. When he reached out to me, he just was like a dad, just a fellow inventor. I have an inventor's mind. Definitely. And I just really wanted to help him. He didn't, usually I charge for like a little bit for a collaboration, just for my time. I just did it for free. And then I'm like, I didn't know you were on Amazon, Andrew. Why didn't you tell me? So people, after I posted it, wanted to see them and wanted to buy them. So I put it in my Amazon store. I'll give you the link if anyone's interested. But now that that started the ball rolling. He gave me those. I have enough for here and outside. And I'm like, you know what? That was so handy and it freed up space.
Oh yeah. It looks great. I love it. I saw that too. I want to do it. I probably screw it up though, but I'll try.
No, you would not.
So no, I mean, that's what everybody's been doing. Like the pandemic. I remember at the beginning of it, I was like the cellar, the shed, the attic, cleaned it all up. Now years past, I'm like, I got to do it again. I know, right. Because you've been up there moving stuff, selling stuff, whatever. But I'm an organized person like yourself, but what am I geeking out on lately? Let me see about myself. It's kind of like a pseudo geeking out, not sure what we're going to kind of do thing. Like concerts are starting to get rescheduled now that are actually going to happen this summer, which I was kind of shocked about.
Wow.
I'm a big Black Crowes fan, so they're coming up in New Hampshire next month. And my buddy's like, you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But like, what's like full capacity, not full? Is people going to be back? It's kind of one of those like, I love music and I've missed it so much. It's been 2 years since I've been to a concert. And
live concerts too. That's one thing.
It's like, it's just such a great release and just a great place to be with friends and so forth. But I'm geeking out that music's come back, but I'm not geeking out about like how it's going to be because I don't know. So, you know, I hope next year everything's back to normal. I can go to 8 shows this summer again with my friends, and you know, I'll be going to shows until I can't walk. As far as I'm concerned, I'll start taking my son, which will be awesome.
And then you're push you in a wheelchair when you can't.
Let's go, Gramps. Let's go. Iron Maiden, they're about 100 years old, so let's bring you. You know, you're only 85. But anyway, Jennifer, I want to say this has been great. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Likewise.
Again, being a fellow TikTok creator that I look up to because you just do a great job. And again, I love the nostalgia features, that nostalgia kind of elements you have to it. That's where I really love the music too. You know, I think we're probably fairly close in age. So you know,
I think a bit older, but yeah, I try to have a mix. I try to have some of the newer popular songs and then classics too. It just depends what mood I'm in.
No, but you pick up on the trends. It's all about the trends on TikTok. That's what it's all about. So Jennifer, please plug everything. I will. And it's great to finally talk to you because I feel like we're already friends. Like for a couple same way. I feel the same way.
It's great to talk face to face.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, great. And I'm like, I know Jennifer Cline. I know Miss Dewalt. So just tell us about your social channels again, where we can follow you and find your awesome content. Most of them, if you just Google Miss Dewalt, which is my nickname, actually on YouTube, it tells my story of how that came to be. But if I'm on, you know, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Great. Awesome. So make sure you follow Jennifer Cline if you have any projects too, because she's probably already done them and done them very well. But I do have to buy a flag from you at one point. Okay. I know we've been talking about this for a while, so I just got to find the place to put it and then we'll go from there. But again, Jennifer, it's great talking to you. Be well, be safe. And I know we'll be talking again soon. Okay. Thanks so much for having me on. All right. Bye. Bye.